So many good moments in this, but I wanted to ask you first about the moment when you stepped out at WWE Raw. Paige was telling us that you had like an hour to do it, and you did one take of your bits and bobs. I mean, what was that experience like? Because that must have been, I guess, quite frightening in a way.
Totally mental. Totally mental. And I will say that up until that point, we had been prepped and prepared, and we got ready for the fight, and Dwayne really made sure that I felt 100% when we got out there. But up until that point, I didn't really understand why these athletes would go out, and because you get hurt when you do it. You do really get hurt. And I never quite got it. And it was until I did that fight in front of that many people, and the adrenaline was just running through my veins. I was like, oh, I get it. It's because you feel like a superhero for 8 minutes, and you can do anything for 8 minutes, and it was unbelievable.
There's a great thing I was saying to Jack about this raw edge, in the sense that you and Jack and everyone else are doing the wrestling moves. I mean, how much training did you have to put into that? And I can imagine it was quite painful, but the rawness is there, if you like, that you guys are in there doing it.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that was really important, I think, for all of us, was that you can't do a wrestling film and not give it a go. Like, you have to get in there. And obviously we each had amazing stunt doubles that would essentially do all the horrible moves for us, which I'm so grateful for. Tessa Blanchard, who is a famous wrestler, was my stunt double, and actually Jack's stunt double was a member of the Beavis family, so like all interconnected. But yeah, we tried to do as much as possible, and it was a lot of fun. Like, after the first 2 weeks of fear, you do get into it and you do start enjoying yourself, and then you have a shitload of bruises, which is wicked, because you're like, oh my god, I'm a Dalmatian.
Tell me about working with Dwayne. I can imagine that was a great experience as well, even in such a short amount of time.
Totally wicked. He's really big, he eats a lot, and I've said over and over again that he's really smooth, and I really want to know what moisturiser he uses. But no, he's an amazing dude, and he's so gorgeous to everyone that he meets and he works with, and that was so wonderful to watch as well, that someone that big and with that level of fame is still just as humble as I think he ever was.
Yeah, and just finally, I wanted to ask you about working with Ari Aster and working with Greta Gerwig. Very exciting year for you. How were those experiences? Because both very different, I can imagine.
Mad. Utterly mad. I don't know how I went from one to the other, because they're so polar opposite, and one will give me nightmares and the other one won't. But yeah, no, each incredible filmmakers, and each moving on to their second film, which I was so lucky to be a part of, and so amazing in their own individual ways, and I'm really excited to see what will come out of those mad months that I filmed. But it was a lot of fun, and we all poured everything into those films, and I guess you just hope for the best, you really do, and I really hope for the best for Ari and Greta, because they are incredible, talented people.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember speaking to Mary Queen of Scots, and you were so excited to talk about this movie, to promote the movie and everything else. I mean, how delighted are you now that finally people are going to get to see it?
I'm delighted. I just think it's a wonderful story. I think even the tagline of a story of a family of wrestlers from Norwich, you know, that alone as a tagline is not something you hear every day, and I just think it's so wonderfully, iconically British. I quite like that, yeah.
It's a fantastic story. I mean, it's funny and it's uplifting, but one of the things I loved about it is that it showed them kind of warts and all, and that it showed them at the ups and the downs. I mean, did that strike you when you read the script and Stephen's screenplay did capture all of that?
Yeah, I mean, and when you meet them, the great thing is that they're a family that bear all, and they wear their hearts on their sleeves, and they're incredibly honest with each other, and you know, like, they are not the kind of family that when the bells ring out for New Year just sort of shake hands, you know, and they're almost a representation of what we all want to be all the time with our family, which is just open and loving, and they are, and you know, and this story and the challenges that they faced, and Hart and Paige going forward to become what she became, you know, it really put that to the test and showed that it can withstand it, the massive pressure of sort of even siblings competing with each other. Yeah.
I mean, also, I love the fact that it's the rawness of it, in the sense that you guys are in there doing the wrestling. I mean, in some other movies they might have got stunt doubles and everything else. I mean, was that kind of good for you, in the sense that you got to do all of that stuff as well as play the character?
Yeah, of course it was. I mean, it was great fun, and I think, you know, the first aim of wrestling, which I never knew, is that to look after one another and be safe, and because it looks like they're all trying to kill one another. And so that was the biggest lesson for me instantly, was that they're actually just trying to look after one another. So we felt more than confident to get in a ring. Initially, at first, on this side of it, no. We were terrified, but when we got in, and these guys, and some of the... I mean, I get smashed in the face with a road sign and sort of slammed to the canvas by Roy, the real brother of Zak. The real guy did that to me in the film. but I knew that I was in the hands of a sort of professional, so I felt as soon as someone tells me that they know what they're doing, I go, all right, fine. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Just finally, I mean, Mary Queen of Scots, we spoke about this, and then you're working with Tom Hardy on the Al Capone movie. I mean, how was that experience going from something like this to something like that with someone like Tom Hardy, who is quite, I guess, intense but very committed to his craft?
Yes, he's he's intense, I guess, in terms of some of the parts that he plays, but he's an absolute gentleman and has all the time for young actors, and I'm forever indebted to people like Tom for the advice that he passes on, and to watch him work is magnificent, and the grace that he goes about it as well. And it's always quite interesting to watch people describe actors as intense, but that's the guys that they play. But he's a wonderful human being that's very open and loving and generous with his time. So no, it was a wonderful experience on Fonzo. It really was. Just another wonderful, weird experience of playing an FBI agent from Boston suddenly. It was great.
Fantastic. First off, I wanted to get what your reaction was to your friend Olivia Colman winning an Oscar last night.
Oh, it's great, right? I watched it. I got up really early and was watching it on my phone, and it's good. I cried. I mean, she's amazing. Nothing affects her, and she gets on with it, and she's a lovely woman who happens to be a fantastic actor too. It's that way around. Yeah. And I love it. I love her.
Fantastic. This movie, absolutely loved it. Congratulations. What was kind of the selling point for you when Stephen approached you with the material?
I'd seen the documentary. He put it together in a little pack. Again, I'd seen it, so I watched it again, and I saw the script. And when you meet Ricky, when you see Ricky as a character, as an actor, he's perfect to play, because he's everything all at the same time sometimes. And it wasn't. I think if you'd asked me this kind of 10 years ago, my answer would have been different. But knowing now, being a dad, what his motivation is as a father, then it makes it easier for me in terms of playing him, because it's like, okay, this is a man who would do anything for his family. And it's a treat. And he's funny and weird and angry and mad. He's fantastic to play.
Yeah, I mean, the combination of comedy and kind of the heartfelt emotion and the family story, I mean, it all works so well. I mean, Were you surprised just when you saw it that it worked so well?
I don't want to say no and seem like a big head, but the script was great. If you start there, then you have to be a real bunch of idiots to F it up, right? I mean, if the script is good and the cast are good and they like each other and they work hard, and they're real people. You're not making it up from zero. You're already on 5 or 6. I don't know what that scale is, but you see what I mean. You already have kind of a rich palette that you've already taken from. You just have to learn the lines, which are great and written by Stephen, and then I'll see you at the Bifters. I don't even know if that's a real thing, but
we'll make it a real thing.
I'll see you there.
We'll make it a real thing. Thanks so much. What was it about this family when you saw the documentary that kind of spoke to you as a writer and a filmmaker?
I think when you're working on any project, you're looking for, or I'm at least looking for some kind of emotional connection, something that grabs me and feels authentic. I like things about real people. I can enjoy sci-fi movies and horror movies and, and fantasy movies, but in the end, I as a writer like stuff about real people with sort of real dreams and real desires and real flaws, and that's what this family were. They were so lovable, so funny, so complicated in many ways, and at the core of it was this lovely, warm, funny story about this underdog, this young woman travelling from Norwich trying to make it in America, which I think I also related to as someone who always wanted to get into movies and show business and stuff. So that was the sort of appeal to me, and the fact that it happens to be about wrestling, something I didn't know anything about, is sort of almost here and there.
Yeah. In terms of writing, was this an easier job for you in terms of the office and everything else, given that they gave you so much and the family was so kind of true and everything, or was that harder because you wanted to make sure that you represented them the right way on the film?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is that you obviously got a wealth of material because you've got 4 or 5 real people and more. You speak to them, you get so much information from them, so it becomes an overwhelming mix of stuff. It's very hard to decide what to include and what not to include because it's all rich, it's all interesting, particularly with this family. Plus, as you say, you're talking about real people. You want to do them justice, and also this is a family who are wrestlers and could break my legs if they're not happy. So you have that anxiety as well. So you have a lot of responsibility, and also but at the same time you don't want it to simply be just painting them as saints. You want to show them warts and all. And so it was a tough project. was as hard as anything I've done.
Yeah, and in terms of the casting, I mean, it's a fantastic cast. Obviously, The Rock there as a producer, obviously helping get the movie off the ground, but does a little bit. But in terms of like Florence and Jack, I mean, what made them kind of perfect to bring this story to life?
I'm so thrilled that I've been able to work with people in the beginnings of their career who've gone on to enormous success. I'm thinking of Martin Freeman, obviously from The Office, who then is doing great things, and Felicity Jones. And I'd like a cut of their future earnings. I always felt that I should get some of that Hobbit money, some of that Rogue One money. And I think Florence and Jack are kind of that next wave. They are so talented, they're so good, so charismatic. They are movie stars, and I feel sort of honoured that we were able to poach them at this moment in time before we can't afford them anymore. I really do feel that's where we're at.
Send a letter to Marvel to be like, hey.
That's right. Please, could you? Yeah, it'll be like the Henry Cavill situation, right? Where we're trying to get him for reshoots, and they won't let him shave off his moustache.
Very true.
Yeah.
Happy birthday!
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on the movie.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
Fantastic.
Cheers.
When you saw it for the first time, was it difficult to kind of separate yourself from what was happening on the screen? Because I can imagine it was quite weird seeing people play you so well.
Well, me being, I'm obviously a council estate and I'm not used to the limelight. That was really weird for me, but it's been unbelievable. It really has. It's like a dream. Honestly, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very surreal moment. Obviously, we're used to being in front of a camera of some sort, because growing up with our parents too, like, they love being in front of the camera. They loved a good documentary. Like, we were constantly in it, right?
Especially mum.
Yeah, especially mum. Like, oh my god, she loves a good camera. And then dad tries to complain about it, but really he freaking loves it. I mean, look at him right now. So we kind of got used to being in the spotlight a little bit, just in England. Then getting in the WWE and doing that kind of stuff, the audience got a little bit bigger. The family got more known just from the WWE, And then having the story now worldwide, where people who don't necessarily know who the hell we are, like, because it's for non-wrestling fans too. Like, there's millions of people that are watching it, and it's just very strange to have them see our life. It's very strange.
Was it? I mean, Stephen Merchant's obviously a fantastic writer, obviously The Office and everything else. Well, you must have been delighted that not only did he capture your essences, but he kind of did it warts and all, and that he had you down to he got your characters down, if you like, by spending time with you and taking all the good things and the bad things and making a great story out of it.
Yeah, well, we are a crazy family. We generally are just a crazy family.
Yeah, exactly. He likes to call us the Dingles, if you're obviously...
we call the Dingles, yeah, that's what we call ourselves.
And or the royal family, just any of the crazy family things.
Yeah.
But I like to tell this story because Stephen Merchant said he came over, and everyone's always like, nah, that can't be your family, no way. And Roy's like, no, that's toned down. That's literally us toned down, like way down. And so Stephen was like, yeah, I would literally follow them around everywhere and just write down everything that came out of their mouths, and the script pretty much wrote itself. He was like, they're just all batshit crazy in a wonderful way.
There's so many amazing moments in this. I wanted to ask you particularly about the final sequence with Florence. Yeah. And it could have been a sequence that was done by CGI and everything else, but she's really there. I mean, that's no pun intended, but it gives it quite a raw emotion in the sense that she's out there doing it, and she owns it really well.
So that was the third day of filming. She was kind of thrusted in there, and it was after a show, obviously on Raw at the Staples Center in LA, so the arena's big. And I remember her texting me. I was awake. Zach is really happy he saw Jack. I was awake because I just had neck surgery, so I couldn't be there, but she was texting me, and she was like, what do I do? Like, I'm walking out to like 10,000 people that don't know me, and then they were like, you got an hour to do it, to film the whole scene. And Dwayne went in there to warm the crowd up and did it within, did over 20 minutes, and Steve was like, get out the ring, and they like try to get him out the ring, he's the only person that would want to get Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson out the ring, Yeah, so they had to do the scene officially in like 30 minutes. 30 whole minutes, but she killed it.
Crazy, isn't it?
She did the promo in one take.
She was brilliant.
That's pretty cool. And also, I mean, obviously you got Dwayne involved. I mean, it must be weird to have not just have him involved as an actor, but the fact that he's there as a producer and that he really fell for your story in this late night or whatever. To have him part and parcel must have been fantastic to have him around.
It's really cool because I just like the fact that I tell everyone this too, is like our family are just used to being such underdogs all the time, and no one really is giving us a chance, even though everyone is talented, they're full of heart, they're full of passion when it comes to this business. And for Dwayne to just see it just from a documentary and be like, they're so relatable, and he made it into this big massive thing, obviously. And we have freaking Nick Frost, freaking Stephen Merchant. Nick Frost is right beside me. I love this guy, dude.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
I love him.
I look like my dad.
It's kind of uncanny, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Congratulations on the movie again. Thank you so much for your time. I can imagine there was trepidation and everything, but was there a moment when you saw the movie that you thought Stephen had captured you guys kind of perfectly? Was there a scene or a moment where you thought, wow, that's...
You know what? October 2017 was the first time I watched the movie. It was the first draft. He called us down to London. We sat and watched it. At the time, I was going through a mental health situation. It sort of took over my life. And I had sort of an out-of-body experience. I watched it, and I watched Jack Lowden, I watched Florence Pugh, I watched Nick Frost, and I'm seeing my family come across on this big screen. And they done more than their best. You know, they were phenomenal. Every single one of them captured our characters perfectly. You know, and Jack actually helped me come out of the mental state that I was in by viewing Jack doing my life. It kind of reminded me what I do. So, you know, I owe a lot to Jack, not just for playing my role great, but he actually helped me, and he don't even realise.
I can imagine that The Rock plays a big part in your life anyway. What was your reaction when you heard that not only was he going to help kind of bring this to the screen, but that he was going to lend his time to kind of be in the movie and give it that little bit extra?
Well, obviously, we're in the wrestling world, so we don't take anything. You know, if someone say we're going to do this, we wait until we're either on the plane or until the movie's dropped or whatever. You know, it's only been the last couple of weeks all this has started feeling real. I've had 4 premieres in the last 2 weeks. I've done New York, I've done LA, I've done Norwich. This is the one we've been excited for. This is the biggest one out of all of them. So now it's just starting to sink in. All of us owe a lot to The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. You know, he's taken our little story that was a documentary, made it Hollywood, and I'm just glad the reviews are good.
Really good on Rotten Tomatoes, although people always say it's quite controversial on that side these days. But let me ask you about working with Stephen Merchant. I mean, what was the working relationship with him? I mean, did he come to your house? Did he kind of spend time with you before he kind of nailed down the script?
Yeah, so Stephen come down and we met Stephen. He come to our training facilities. He come to our home. Funny enough, the scenes in the movie where they're showing our house, it's identical. Even to this day, you walk into our house and you'll be like, how did they get this so right? The attention to detail that Stephen took was absolutely phenomenal. Again, this is a guy we owe a lot to, you know, his brain, his wittiness. But the funny thing was, he's gone around and he's saying, look, all I had to do was follow, you know, Rick and Julia, mum and dad ran with a notepad and a pen and they wrote the script themselves. So, you know, like I said, we are who we are, and I'm just glad that people are liking what we do, enjoying the story and inspired by it, because that's what the message was meant to be.
In terms of the film itself, I mean, what was there a moment in there where you thought that this is going to be such a great event, people are going to get, you know, have such a great time and it's so uplifting and everything? Was there a moment where you were watching the movie where you thought, oh, this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a scene that's sort of become famous already when Dad hung up on Dwayne. You know, he said, "This is Dwayne." He's like, "Yeah, I'm Vin Diesel," and he hung up. You know, he really captured, because that's something my dad does. You know, he's always saying, "I don't believe you. Show me, show me, show me." That's the type of guy he is. So, you know, I just think every 5 minutes there's a pop in the cinemas. People are laughing, and that is just the wittiness of the family. You know, it's a constant. So I believe as a whole, the movie as a whole really captures everything. I really enjoy it. I've watched it about 6 times already, and there's not a time where I don't sit there and I don't get the tears. I'm not laughing. You know, I'm not angry with myself when me and my sister had that, you know, little bit of rivalry going on. They just capture it perfectly. I can't really add to that. Stephen Merchant, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Film 4, WWE, all of them have done a phenomenal job, and I'm just proud to be a part of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey!